I'd like to introduce Shinique from Perth in Australia, and she's originally from South Africa. Thank you for joining me, Shinique.
Thanks, Linda. I'm happy to be here.
Now, I understand that you take LDN for Hashimoto's, but you were having problems since childhood. Would you like to tell us what happened?
Oh, geez, it's such a long story, and I had to recap that today to the doctor as well. Well, I'm going to try and make it short. I had various issues. The most common thing was fatigue. I would just be basically tired the entire day, needing to sleep, probably sometimes twice a day. I think my issues started getting really severe when I was in high school. I would fall asleep in classes, and I thought it was normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would be right up in the front of the class and just sleep throughout the class. And this would be especially in the mornings. And this continued and straight through to university, straight through starting to work. Would always be tired. I had other issues as well, things like swelling of my joints, specifically my knees. I would also have weak ligaments, I would suppose. My ankles would get out easily. Same as with my knees. I would have issues with that. So the fatigue got generally worse. I would also have issues with specific foods, but I never linked it to foods at that time. I would just have bloating and swelling, and my face would get all puffy. And I think later on in the years, I got just worse, and my hair got really dry. My fingernails stopped growing. I always used to have beautiful, long, strong nails. And then as the years progressed, my nails would just start chipping away. It'd just be absolutely nothing left of them. So I was officially diagnosed with Hashimoto's in 2010 when I just had enough. But prior to this, I would see quite a few doctors, and they would all say, oh, well, you know, you look normal. We've run these tests. You're a little bit low on this side. They would never really explain to me exactly what was wrong. And they would say, your thyroid is a bit underactive, but especially for your age, but it's nothing to worry about. And eventually in 2010, a doctor said, you know, let's run these tests a bit further, and he confirmed you've got Hashimoto's. And from there, he put me on T4 medication, but my health actually deteriorated since starting the T4 medication. And anyway, so he also told me to stay away from gluten as it's linked to autoimmune diseases, especially Hashimoto's, and also to stay away from sugar, try and eat more healthy. In May of last year, I decided to take things in my own hands because you can imagine you go through your life and you're tired every day. You don't get better. You can't think. You can't concentrate. You don't remember things anymore, and you eventually think you're going crazy. And so I decided to take things in my own hand, and I started reading up about Hashimoto's, about health, about how everything is linked together. In the long run, I came up with a lot of things: changing your diet, introducing things like juicing, the autoimmune protocol. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So I went on the AIP diet, and from there on, my health actually started improving quite a lot. I also had a significant drop in my antibodies. And about a couple of months after that, I was introduced to LDN, as well as T3, so a doctor put me on both of them. Unfortunately, at the same time, I think I mentioned this to you in the email I sent you. But since then, I've been basically almost a normal human being again. I still have some issues with maybe anxiety and things like that, but generally I'm so much better. I can tell you from December 2013 when I started using LDN and the T3 medication, the pain that I used to have in my joints are basically completely gone. The only remnant I have of funny joint issues now is my left knee. And that's really a funny thing. The doctors don't know what it is. The doctor I saw today also has no idea. We're going to try and find out why specifically my one knee swells up. and how that's linked to maybe my hormones or something like that. But otherwise, my joint pain is completely gone. In terms of fatigue, it's almost completely gone, where I used to have to sleep sometimes, like I said, twice a day. I would get up, force myself out of bed in the morning, have something to eat, sleep probably from 10 until 11, wake up, try and throw myself around, eat something again, and then just be tired, and I have to go to bed again, and be tired at night. But it was varying times of insomnia and lots of sleeping necessary. Now that's almost completely gone. I don't get that tired. Obviously, I have one or two odd days, and it's linked to the typical female time of the month where you get a little bit down and tired. But otherwise, my energy levels are really, really good. My concentration and memory has improved significantly over the course of the year. I think I have mentioned to you before, I think LDN and the T3 was basically the cherry on top of my health, just improving after I started doing the AIP diet and paying attention to what I do in terms of lifestyle and how I'm eating and what foods I'm consuming. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Wow, that's amazing. So before the LDN, if you had to have rated your quality of life on a score of 1 to 10, and 10 being the best, what would it have been?
I'd probably say, in terms of what I know myself to be or to be able to be, like, I'd say a 6 out of a 10.
Okay, and what would
Maybe
you say?
Maybe a 5 or a 6.
Okay. And what would you say now?
Probably an 8. Yeah. I'm not 100% yet. I know I still have a bit of a way to go, but definitely an 8. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it? And what would you say to other people who are experiencing problems with Hashimoto's?
Well, like I've mentioned, I would first of all say that you need to look into your lifestyle. You can't just take a pill and hope things will go away. Your immune system is acting up for a specific reason, and you have to work with your body, not against it. And I found the best way to do it is to consume foods that are truly healthy and nutritious for you. When the doctor first told me to stay away from gluten, for example, I had no idea what gluten was. I thought it was just bread. I mean, you're completely oblivious to what you're eating, and I think you need to take your health into your own hands and take it seriously. Research what are good foods. Look into things like the autoimmune protocol. You need to change your diet. Find out what foods make you feel good and what foods make you feel bad. You'll very, very quickly, if you give your body a chance to heal, find out that you've been eating or consuming food for such a long time that were actually really bad for you. And if you give it time to heal, you're going to respond in a very different way. And it's going to be an obvious thing if you then eat foods that are bad for you.
Exactly. Diet, as you say, is so very important. We are what we eat, and that is a true fact, isn't it?
That's true. And other than that, I would say that the right medications for you specifically as an individual is also very important. For me, my experience was that the doctors tend to prescribe one thing for hypothyroidism, and that is T4 medication, the synthetic T4 medication kind. And that made me even worse. I mean, I had adrenal issues that were not diagnosed really, but they knew that my adrenals were acting up a little bit, but doctors don't really give much attention to that. And what happened is the T4 made me more anxious, and at the end it made me more tired. So I would say that you need to find out what medication is going to work the best for you, and not just to accept the simple T4 that it's going to be the begin and end all for you. And of course, other than that, LDN is something that I found. Unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly if it's T3 or just the LDN, but one of these two things, or both of them, have really made me so much better. So the other thing I would suggest is talk to an integrative practitioner about LDN. And hopefully they know about it. If they don't know about it, don't be discouraged. There are not a lot of doctors that are willing to prescribe it for you or that do their own research. Just find the right doctor. The one that knows about LDN is the one that's going to be able to help you.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
It's a pleasure.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, there are quite a few things. Before LDN and before starting the autoimmune protocol and looking into my health, I was always anxious. I felt I could get angry quite quickly, lose my temper. I would get emotional, just like my emotions were all over the place. And my overall health has improved, and even throughout and since the T3 and the LDN, I can definitely say that my moods are more stable. I also feel like I've had weight loss, not because of the LDN necessarily, but because of the autoimmune protocol diet. Overall, my skin has also improved. It's not 100% yet, but it's better. I also used to be quite depressed. Could have a couple of months of it, or even severe days of depression. That's definitely gone. In the last few years, more recent years, I would be more prone to insomnia rather than being able to sleep the whole day. And I have to say that what LDN has done, specifically LDN, and it's not the T3, is, and this is starting on the low dose and then working up very slowly, is it helps me to sleep, fall asleep quicker, and then also stay asleep during the night. I can say my dreams are not necessarily more vivid. I understand that people say that they have very vivid dreams, but I've always had very vivid dreams. But I think LDN has just helped me to stay asleep and also fall asleep much quicker, and that is definitely a major improvement for me. And this can also, of course, explain why I've got more energy during the day and better focus and just better cognitive function. I can also add that my fingernails in the last year or two got really bad. They would just break, be very, very brittle, and they're almost as fantastic as they were when I was much, much younger. My fingernails are growing beautifully. They're not brittle and breaking anymore. I also used to have quite a few sinus issues, more in terms of congestion, and that has also improved quite drastically.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Other than that, sorry, Linda, I would also just like to say, in terms of the pain I used to have in my fingers, I would get swelling on my joints and my fingers, and they would look reddish and swollen, and not excessively so, but to me I could see the difference in my fingers, how it was changing. And since the T3 and the LDN, the pain has completely gone away, and I also don't have that redness and funny swelling in them anymore. Sorry, and there's another thing. I've got so many things to think of. I had a growth on my left hand, and I don't know what it was. The doctors, I don't know, they didn't know what it was. The one would just say, find out from a specialist, and the next one would say the same thing. It was underneath my skin. It would be like a squishy kind of a growth. If I touched it, it would move. It wasn't hard. And that started becoming an issue, probably say for the last year or so. It would just appear and then grow, and then sometimes it would look like it was going away a little bit. But before starting the LDN and the T3, it was quite prominent. And since starting the LDN and T3, it disappeared rather quickly. It was one of the first things that I noticed going away. So I would like to have known what it was, but now it's gone.
Wow. I'd like